Lloyd had always been an outcast. In his previous life, he was a young boy with no friends, no hope, and no happiness. He was considered disgusting by his peers, cruelly bullied and ostracized for his awkward appearance, poor hygiene, and social awkwardness. Every day, he was subjected to ridicule and neglect, which wore down his spirit and confidence. The few people he had tried to form connections with either ignored him or actively made his life worse. For all his life, he had nothing but misery, feeling utterly worthless in a world that seemed to reject him at every turn. But one fateful day, after years of enduring his painful existence, Lloyd died, tragically, under circumstances that no one even noticed. And though he was forgotten by the world he left behind, fate had different plans for him. Lloyd would soon find himself reincarnated in an entirely new world, one filled with magic, mythical beasts, and power struggles between kingdoms. Reincarnation, the new world. Lloyd woke up in the body of a small child, in a kingdom that appeared to be straight out of a fantasy novel. But there was no time to celebrate his new life. In this world, magic was the core of everything. The strong and the powerful were all skilled in magic, while the weak were left behind, powerless and ignored. As he grew accustomed to this new life, Lloyd learned that in this world, your value was directly tied to your magical ability. The more magic one possessed, the higher your rank in society. Unfortunately for Lloyd, he was born with level 1 magic, the absolute lowest possible magical talent. In fact, his magical abilities were so weak that they were barely detectable. As a result, Lloyd was once again relegated to the bottom of the social ladder. He was seen as nothing more than a failure, a disgusting weakling who couldn't even perform basic magic like the other children in his new world. Despite this setback, Lloyd refused to succumb to the same fate that had plagued his previous life. He decided that he would not just sit idly by and accept his low status. He would find a way to survive, to become stronger, and most importantly, to rise above the oppressive system that looked down on him. The path of self-improvement. Lloyd knew that with his low magical talent, he couldn't rely on brute force to become powerful. Instead, he began to study and experiment with magic in unconventional ways. While others focused on honing their skills through traditional means, Lloyd took a different path. He delved into the obscure, forbidden arts of magic. These were techniques that others deemed impractical or dangerous, but Lloyd's desperation led him to take risks that no one else would. He learned how to manipulate magic at its core, tapping into hidden aspects of magic that were long forgotten. He trained tirelessly, day after day, perfecting his control over his meager magical abilities. Over time, his unorthodox methods paid off. He discovered that by using his low-level magic in creative and strategic ways, he could accomplish feats that seemed impossible. His magic might have been weak, but his intellect and ingenuity allowed him to exploit the system and rise above his peers. Lloyd quickly realized that magic wasn't the only tool for gaining power. His experience as an outcast made him observant, and he became a master at reading people and understanding their motivations. He knew how to manipulate those around him, how to make others underestimate him, and how to gain their trust only to turn it to his advantage. Through these methods, he began to build a network of allies, starting with those who were also disillusioned with the corrupt kingdom and its oppressive rulers. The kingdom, a corrupt system. The kingdom Lloyd found himself in was a deeply hierarchical society. The nobility and the elite were all powerful mags, and they lived in luxury while the common people suffered in poverty. The magical academy, where young mags were trained, was a breeding ground for this corruption, churning out loyal servants for the kingdom's royal family. Magic, wealth, and status were all tightly controlled, and those without power had little hope of improving their lot in life. Lloyd, seeing the inherent unfairness of this system, began to form a plan to bring it down. He knew that overthrowing the kingdom's rulers wouldn't be easy, especially with his low-level magic, but he was willing to do whatever it took. He spent years gathering intelligence, learning the ins and outs of the kingdom's political landscape, and gaining the trust of key figures who would aid him in his cause. The first step, gaining influence. Lloyd's first major move was to infiltrate the magical academy, where he was treated like any other low-level student. While most of the students were dismissive of him due to his lack of magical prowess, Lloyd used this to his advantage. He befriended the marginalized and overlooked students, many of whom were dissatisfied with the current system. Through his charm, wit, and strategic thinking, Lloyd began to gain the support of key individuals, those who were willing to join him in his rebellion against the kingdom. Lloyd's ability to manipulate the academy's power structure grew as he outwitted the school's administrators and made subtle moves to weaken their influence. Over time, he built a reputation as a mysterious figure, someone who was capable of feats of magic that defied logic and expectations. While his peers were focused on mastering traditional spells, Lloyd was using his unorthodox methods to break the rules and accomplish things that were thought impossible for someone of his magical level. The revolution begins. As Lloyd's influence within the academy grew, so did his ambitions. He began to make alliances with other kingdoms, secret organizations, and mercenaries, all while continuing to undermine the kingdom's internal structure. He used his knowledge of magic to sabotage the kingdom's military efforts, slowly weakening its power from the inside. Eventually, Lloyd launched his rebellion. He started by targeting the royal family's most trusted knights and mags, those who had supported the corrupt system for years. Using his newly acquired magical abilities, he easily overwhelmed these guards, causing chaos and panic among the nobility. As his movement grew, Lloyd's revolutionary forces began to take control of the capital city, and his reputation as a threat to the kingdom spread far and wide. Lloyd's strategy was to overthrow the royal family not through brute force, but through a combination of manipulation, intelligence, and careful planning. He played the political game better than anyone else, using his knowledge of the kingdom's weaknesses to exploit them at every turn. He turned the people against their rulers, revealing the truth of the corruption and oppression that had been hidden from them for so long. The final battle, overthrowing the kingdom. In the climactic final battle, Lloyd faced off against the kingdom's rulers, the king, queen, and their most powerful mags. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Lloyd's mastery of unconventional magic and his strategic genius allowed him to overpower the kingdom's elite forces. He used his low-level magic in unexpected ways, turning the tide of the battle in his favor. The king, once thought to be an unbeatable ruler, was ultimately defeated, and the corrupt royal family was overthrown. Lloyd, now an unstoppable force, declared the beginning of a new era, one where power and magic would no longer be concentrated in the hands of a few, but would be shared among all people. Epilogue: A New Dawn. With the kingdom now in ruins, Lloyd stood atop the throne, not as a conqueror, but as a leader. He had achieved his goal of toppling the corrupt regime, but the work was far from over. The people who had once rejected him now looked to him for guidance. Lloyd knew that ruling the kingdom was not enough. He needed to build a fairer society, one where power was decentralized and the common people had a voice. As Lloyd looked out over the kingdom he had helped shape, he realized that his journey wasn't just about revenge, it was about creating a new world, free from the chains of inequality and oppression. He had started as a lonely, disgusting boy, but now he was the ruler of a kingdom, the one who had overthrown the old order and brought about a new dawn. Themes and lessons. Lonely disgusting boy reincarnated with LV1 magic but overthrew the kingdom, is a tale of personal transformation, resilience, and revolution. The story explores the following key themes. Overcoming adversity, Lloyd's journey is a testament to the idea that no matter how low you start, with determination, intelligence, and the right mindset, you can rise above your circumstances. Power and corruption. The kingdom represents a corrupt system that rewards the powerful and punishes the weak. Lloyd's rebellion is a fight against this systemic injustice. Self-worth and identity. Lloyd's transformation from a lonely, rejected boy to a powerful ruler underscores the importance of believing in oneself, even when others do not.